Good evening and welcome. We are coming to you live at this moment from the JP Path here, JP Ganga Path here in Patna. And while you will hear the cars whizzing past around me, what you will not hear today is a noise of the campaign. The loudspeakers, the rallies have all fallen silent as the campaign for the first phase of election in Bihar has come to an end. The very crucial Bihar election, 6th is when the first phase of polling is going to take place, and the polling will be on 121 constituencies across 18 districts of Bihar. But before I tell you all about the first phase and what all has happened, let me very quickly at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, just put out how the big guns from across political parties today made sure that they are sweating in the political arena on the campaign trail, trying to ensure that they can influence even the last vote to ensure that their candidate wins. All the top leaders, whether they were from the Mahagathbandhan or from the NDA, were campaigning today. From Home Minister Amit Shah to Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. From Rahul Gandhi to Tejasvi Yadav, who has been campaigning one after another, 20 rallies that he did today. Every single leader, senior leader, Akhilesh Yadav, JP Nadda, the BJP president, all of them were today in some constituency or the other. Road shows, rallies, campaign slogans. It was the full force of every political party being utilized in the last hours of the campaigning for the first phase of elections. Now, while the first phase of election will take place on the 6th, as I said, 121 constituencies across 18 districts, places around Patna, Nalanda, Samastipur, Muzaffarpur, 8 constituencies of Darbhanga. All these areas will be, in fact, voting. People will be voting in these constituencies. Now, important to note here is that when you compare it to 2020, this is where the NDA would want to hold on to the lead that they had, and the Mahagathbandhan will desperately try to break in if they want to have any chance as far as the government formation in Bihar is concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Before I move on, I want to play out one by one some important, in fact, sound bites, what was said by which leader, because eventually, on the last day of the campaigning, whether it was Yogi Adityanath's campaign in Darbhanga, he's campaigning for the sitting BJP MP, who is also a minister in the government of Nitish Kumar, trying to, fighting it out for the 6th consecutive time if he wins that election. There was a sense of polarization. Everybody, all kind of accusations and counter accusations did take place. And beyond that, let me also tell you, Tejasvi Yadav today came out and announced that he will be giving 30,000 rupees to the women, to the Jivika Didis, as soon as he comes to power. So, lot is being promised even on the last day of the campaigning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, though did not campaign today, he yesterday, in fact, had attacked Tejasvi Yadav on why his father's poster was missing from the campaign trail. Tejasvi Yadav also replied to the Prime Minister. Let's listen in.
आप आरजेडी कांग्रेस के जरा पोस्टरों को देखिए, जो सालों साल तक यहां मुख्यमंत्री रहे, जो बिहार में जंगल राज लाए, उनकी तस्वीरें पोस्टरों में या तो गायब है या तो एक कोने में छोटी सी तस्वीर रखिए, दूरबीन से भी दिखती नहीं है। अब मुझे बताइए भाई, जो इतने बड़े उनके लिए नेता थे, जिनके परिवार के सारे लोग चुनाव के मैदान में हैं, और फिर ये छुपा छुपाई क्यों हो रही है? अरे अपने पिता का नाम बोलने में, छुपाने में शर्म क्यों आ रही है? वो कौन सा पाप है जिसको आरजेडी वालों को बिहार के नौजवानों से छुपाना पड़ रहा है?
नरेंद्र मोदी जी, 14 करोड़ बिहार वासियों के बारे में आप बात कीजिए, इस पे बात कीजिए कि हमारा बिहार नंबर 1 कब बनेगा, कैसे बनेगा। बेकार की बातें क्यों करते हैं भाई? लालू जी ने जो काम किया है, सामाजिक न्याय किया है, रेलवे का मुनाफा किया है, मोदी जी 7 जन्म में भी नहीं कर सकते।
Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi, who was on the campaign trail, continued and doubled down on his attack and once again said that what Prime Minister did on Chhat was a drama. Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, was campaigning in Darbhanga today, and this is his reaction to what Rahul Gandhi said.
ये कांग्रेस के लोग जैसे राम मंदिर के बारे में प्रश्न खड़ा करते थे, भगवान राम के बारे में प्रश्न खड़ा करते थे, ऐसे ही छठ मैया के बारे में भी कांग्रेस के युवराज आज प्रश्न खड़ा कर रहे हैं। बहनों और भाइयों, ये कांग्रेस और इंडी गठबंधन के लोग ये किसी के नहीं हुए, ये किसी के नहीं हुए। ये धोखा देते हैं, अराजकता पैदा करते हैं, गुंडों और बदमाशों को, अपराधियों को प्रश्रय देते हैं।
फिर अभी पूरा ड्रामा कर रहे थे छठ पूजा का, पूरे देश को बताया मैं यमुना में जाके स्नान करूंगा, नहाऊंगा। आपने देखा वहां पे पीछे से पाइप लगा रखा था, साफ पानी नरेंद्र मोदी के नहाने के लिए लगाया गया था। देखा ना आपने? प्रधानमंत्री को नहाना है तो साफ पानी लाएंगे, यमुना के गंध में नरेंद्र मोदी जी नहीं जाएंगे, आम जनता जाएगी। वो पानी उनको पीना पड़ेगा, मर जाए तब भी पीना पड़ेगा, मगर नरेंद्र मोदी के लिए स्पेशल तालाब बनाया जाएगा और फिर वो बिहार के लिए ड्रामा करेगा, आएगा उसमें नहाएगा। हमारे मीडिया के जो मित्र हैं पाइप नहीं दिखाएंगे, वो गलती से किसी ने पाइप दिखा दिया, नरेंद्र मोदी कहते मैं नहीं नहाऊंगा। अब
अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति चुनाव में उस वक्त के राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन की तबीयत एक बड़ा मुद्दा बना। आपको लग रहा है कि नीतीश जी की सेहत इस वक्त एक इशू है इस इलेक्शन में?
शायद आप कैंपेन को ढंग से फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हो। वो हर रोज 5 सभाएं कर रहे हैं। 5 गांव में बिहार में जाना अपने आप में अच्छी सेहत का परिचायक माना जाता है। मैंने फिर से एक बार मैं स्पष्ट कर देता हूं, नीतीश जी मुख्यमंत्री हैं, हम उनके नेतृत्व में चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, इसमें कोई एनडीए में कंफ्यूजन नहीं है, फैलाना भी नहीं चाहिए। जहां तक प्रत्याशी मुख्यमंत्री तय करने का एक संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया है, संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया के हिसाब से सारे एमएलए बैठकर इसको तय करते हैं, जो चुनाव के बाद हो सकता है।
Many top leaders are in this key contest of the first phase. While Tejasvi Yadav, the challenger from Raghopur, of course, his constituency is also in the first phase of the polling. Samrat Chaudhary, the Deputy Chief Minister, and Vijay Sinha, the other Deputy Chief Minister, would also be, in fact, in the first phase of the polling. Then there is Tej Pratap Yadav, Tejasvi's brother, who has been thrown out of the party. Maithili Thakur, Kesari Lal Yadav, all these top faces are in fact in the political fray in the elections when the voters decide on the 6th of November. Let me very quickly at this moment also introduce, to just try and understand where is this election standing at this moment, what are the top issues on the campaign trail that we have seen. Let me go across to my guests, those who are joining me. Professor Badri Narayan is a political commentator who is joining me at this moment. So is Sajjan Kumar, political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for speaking to us at this moment. I want to start by asking you, Professor Badri Narayan, it has been a very, short campaign as far as the first phase is concerned. First curtailed by, of course, the Chhath and before that Diwali, and then 2-3 days of rains in Bihar. Do you think that the political parties have been able to put their best foot forward? And I'm asking you this because we have seen the NDA and the kind of resources that they have, from the Prime Minister to Chief Minister to MPs to union ministers. On the other hand, the entire focus of the Mahagathbandhan was on few rallies of Rahul Gandhi, and of course the heavy lifting was done by Tejasvi Yadav.
Yeah, Ankit, I think what I understood that in the political parties performed well, and they tried to do their best, because you see the range of discourses in this election. It begins from various kinds of sub-discourses like dance, like naach, like katta, like various kinds of things. But it also revolved around development issues of Bihar, the pride of Bihar. And this entire Viksit Bihar discourse, which was pushed up by Narendra Modi ji, has also gained momentum. So the development, the identity of the state, of the Bihar identity, and with the sub discourses like Jeevaj and titbits and attacking to each other, were part of that. And so this election, all the political parties, smaller to bigger, they have tried to their best. They have tried to perform the best, deliver their messages, and that's the beauty of democracy in India. Because we put our proposal to the public, and public take decisions. So in the first phase, which is the very important phase, as you rightly said, the very many big leaders are contesting these elections, and their political future lies in this the first phase. And this is the phase which is happening in the area which is very pertinent in the Bihar politics, and politically very aware areas. There are, you can find a lot of youth awareness in this area. Women are very aware. So politically aware, the area of the various kinds of social movements. So in this area, this first phase in this election is going to be very pertinent in deciding the future of Bihar. And most of the parties and their leaders propose their own messages for the public, and public has to choose them for what they are going to do.
Yes, Sajjan, let me ask you this. Who has more to gain or more to lose when it comes to the first phase? Because 121, it's almost even keel as far as both the phases are concerned, 121 and 122 seats in the second phase as well. How important is this phase? And let me ask you specifically on the point of view of the challenger, the Mahagathbandhan.
Look, Ankit, in 2020, you have in first stage, if you compare from 2020, the Bhojpur Shahabad area, then you have Magad region, wherein the Gathbandhan did pretty well, right? And one of the reasons that why Gathbandhan did pretty well is because of its alliance with the left parties, who also have pockets of committed cadre vote. Two, also because last time Chirag Paswan sliced away 10 to 11% of votes on each and every constituency that Nitish Kumar was contesting. Now, in that background, this time you see that many of the left candidates are incumbent candidates. So they do not have the advantage of being seen as the candidates signifying just movements. They are incumbent whose performance is assessed in the 5 years, and they are also facing anti-incumbency. Two, Chirag Paswan support base, and we have seen it on the ground. The Paswan Dalit voters are strongly with Nitish Kumar and NDA. And that is why for Gathbandhan in general and RJD in particular, this first phase is existential, because if they do not retain the lead, a very difficult target, it would be difficult for the RJD and Congress alliance to build momentum for the second phase. Because remember, in 2020, first and second phase was seemingly it went in favor of the Gathbandhan. But when Nitish Kumar Bashan came from Tirhut to Mithila to parts of Simanchal, Angika, all sort of thing, wherein you find the non-Yadav voters, EBC voters, they are also called as the Mandal, Panchpanya, Pachporna, all sort of voters. That's their passion. So in this phase, what I expect that it's If you look at the constituency level, people will say seat फंसी हुई है. But if you see the trend, certainly you find compared to 2020, Nitish Kumar has a significant edge precisely because his core is intact, be it Muslim community, be it about the Mahilas, and be it about Chittam is not seen this time because they are incumbent.
You're right. You're right when you are saying that Nitish Kumar's core is intact. But the interesting thing is that the core of the Mahagathbandhan also seems to be intact. Their problem is where do they get that additional vote? From their traditional vote bank, the addition is the problem, and possibly that is where Professor Badrinarayan, the Mukesh Sahani factor or IP Gupta factor is what they would be hoping is going to give them some sort of an edge in terms of numbers, because while Sajjan is right that this is the area, the Shahabad Magad area where the Mahagathbandhan did well, there are constituencies like Darbhanga in which is 8 of those seats are going to polls this time as well. It was out of 10 seats of Darbhanga, they could only win 1. So they will have to try and save what they had and also then try and break into the strongholds of the Bharatiya Janata Party and NDA in places like Darbhanga, isn't it?
Yeah, I think really it's an issue which you are raising. It's a very important issue in understanding this Bihar election. One is, this Mahagathbandhan has really problem of not adding much and not be, succeeding in making a bigger social alliance. They try to do it by, as Sajjan rightly said, that collaborating and making alliance with the left, and also like Sahni, this Sahni event, Sahni case, we gave them a kind of oxygen in this election because they were not growing. No, they have a stand somewhere. But this Sahni alliance with this, giving the Sahni as a vice, declaring him as a vice deputy CM has given some oxygen. But the problem is they have to contest with an alliance which has very big social coalitions by various castes and community, which is led by NDA, and they have to contest with this alliance. And so it's a small growth will not help them to defeat the kind of Nitish Kumar image, Nitish Kumar, the kind of grassroots understanding, or and also, Ankit, the kind of rise in the beneficiary numbers. You see in 5 years, you can see the rise of beneficiary rise, the rise of beneficiary profiles, like you see the Jan Dhan Yojana, more than 1.5%, half number of population rise in that. A lot of schemes, yes. You see Jal Bijli Yojana. So this circle of beneficiary has grown a lot in 5 years, and they are going to help NDA in this election. And Mahagathbandhan has not that kind of any the kind of beneficiary base.
No, of course, because they are in the opposition, so where do they get the beneficiaries from? But that is why precisely where Tejasvi Yadav has been making one promise after another. But there is also another important issue. The whole tag or the burden of the Jungle Raj on Tejasvi Yadav, is it even heavier than what Nitish Kumar carries with 20 years of anti-incumbency? But one counter to that, and I want to play out what happened today, an important, in fact, significant development in the elections today, last day of campaigning, was the FIR which was registered against Union Minister Lalan Singh, who is from the JDU, campaigning for another Bahubali Don Anand Singh in Mokama. He made a statement in which he said, don't let the opponents, some leader of the opponents come out on the election day. If they beg, if they plead, then take them with you to make sure that they vote for you. Now, this is being seen as an intimidation tactic and has been complained by the RJD to the Election Commission. The Election Commission got this recorded on their own cameras, and after that recording has now registered an FIR against the Union Minister. Questions are being raised about, does this behove the position of the Union Minister, not only, intimidating voters, but also, in fact, questioning, campaigning for somebody who has so many criminal cases. Having said that, every party here has one Don or the other, in fact, standing on their ticket. Let's listen in to this war of words.
ये हार की बौखलाहट है और ये जो गर्मी दिखा रहे हैं वो प्रधानमंत्री और गृह मंत्री की नज़र में चढ़ने के लिए इस प्रकार के बयान दे रहे हैं। खुद वो लोकसभा चुनाव में जिस क्षेत्र में वो घूम रहे हैं, जिस स्वतंत्रता सेनानी के लिए घूम रहे हैं, वहाँ से उनकी हार हुई है। केंद्र में बैठे मंत्री धमका रहे हैं उस क्षेत्र में जहाँ जिस क्षेत्र में एक हत्या की जदयू के प्रत्याशी ने, उसके बावजूद भी उस क्षेत्र में जाके कह रहे हैं कि अमुक अमुक दबे कुचले वंचित लोगों को आपको बाहर नहीं निकलने देना है। अगर कोई हाथ पैर पड़े तो फिर उसको अपने साथ ले जाके वोट डलवाना है। डलवाना मतलब छपवाना है।
केंद्रीय मंत्री माननीय ललन सिंह जो उस निर्वाचन क्षेत्र के माननीय सांसद हैं और उन्होंने उम्मीदवार बनाया है अनंत सिंह को, तो अनंत सिंह पर कानून के तहत कार्रवाई हुई, कोई बचाव नहीं हुआ। तो उन्होंने जो मंतव्य दिया है उसको तोड़ मरोड़ करके यह कहा है उन्होंने कि एक नेता नाम नहीं लिया। तब राष्ट्रीय जनता दल ऐसे सवाल पर बात का बतंगड़ बना रहा है।
Sajjan Kumar, I want to very quickly, I wanted to play this out to ask you, because the whole Jungle Raj narrative is something that not only in this election but in the previous elections also we have seen the NDA, the BJP, JDU playing out. And having said that, you go onto the ground, and especially in the urban areas, you do find people, those who are still talking about it, even the young people, that there is a fear factor. What if the RJD comes back and something of similar nature happens here in Bihar? With what we have seen in the last few days, with Lalan Singh going out, all the way out to campaign for Anand Singh, who is a Don, do you believe that that whole narrative is weakened?
Ankit, let's compare this whole narrative in terms of the optics. And in terms of the optics, there is a top-down phenomenon, there is a middle-class sensibility, wherein certainly, be it Prashant Kishore, and now you see the incident in Mokama Assembly constituency, one can say that things are not black and white. You find certain gray zones even under this government also. But the moment you change the optics and the references, how the ground, how the bottom-up scenario looks up, you find a black and white scenario, because on the ground still people have a distinct reference point. To them, 1990s era is not just about memory. To them, 1990s core support base and their presence on the ground, their body language, their behavior, the mere perception that Tejasvi or RJD can come back to power, the way they start behaving in public sphere, that start creating some sort of psycho fear, intimidation among the weaker sections, be it EBC, Mahadalits, or be it women, right? So in terms of the everyday experience, it's not about Tejasvi, who is trying to distinguish from his father's era, trying to signify heralding of a fresh politics. It's about his support base. When people say Tejasvi ठीक है, लेकिन नीचे के उनके supporters जो हैं, वो अभी तक वैसे के वैसे हैं. So this is about restraining your support base, and to that extent, RJD has failed. And that is why when the reference is about the Jungle Raj, to the rank and file, to the core support base, it's about their everyday experience and the fear that they have. And that is why, yes, you rightly pointed out, top down, there seems to be some gray zone, but to the bottom up, 1990s reference and support based presence in everyday life still is something which doesn't make people cross the Rubicon and trust Tejasvi.
Okay. Professor Badri Narayan, let me bring you in at this moment, and I want to understand from you, because Bihar, when you talk about people, Palayan is a big issue. Unemployment, massive issue. Education is a big factor. Do you feel that these are the factors which are going to trump the traditional wisdom of the caste equation? Because at least in my travels and election and after election, more than their affinity to their own caste, it is the fear of the other caste coming to power that propels people to vote than any other issue.
No, I think caste matters in Bihar, not only in Bihar, in every part of India, in its own way. But in this election, you can observe, you must have observed in the field, because you went to the field. the caste is in backdrop. Caste is like a curtain. You must have seen the theater in which the पर्दा लगा होता है और performance चल रहा होता है. So caste is like पर्दा and the performances are like development discourses, like aspiration discourses. So one thing has been happened. You see, we have more than 14 lakh first-time voters, and they are Gen Z, and they are guided by not only caste but by aspirations too, by aspirations, by hope and aspirations created by the India government, especially Narendra Modi and Nitish Kumar. Yes, it's true that the first phase of development, which is the infrastructural development, law and governance, settling the society at certain level, they have achieved. And now there's another aspirations. This is about doing well in education, in the health, and various kinds of human development issues emerged very importantly in this election discourse. But you know, if you have a 7 crore voters and 3 crore voters are beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, and similarly Ayushman Yojana, more than 1 crore 50 lakh people. So you have already created your base. So base is has expanded. So caste in that way has been diluted in terms of obvious discourse, but it is in backdrop and it works as a mosaic, but not directly coming in the discourse as it was coming earlier. Only this violence kind of thing which happened. You have raised issue about this Lalan Singh and this killing of the person Lalan Singh Yadav. Media, especially social media, tried to create a kind of caste discourse between two dominant castes of Bihar. One is not dominant in number, but there is also in number. But they try to do the kind of creative discourse. But it couldn't work at the grassroots level and ground. At the ground, development, hope and aspiration. I used to say now it's aspirational Bihar. And that's why Narendra Modi is saying Viksit Bihar. So Viksit Bihar is a response to the aspirations of the people which are emerging at the grassroots level, if you see the data.
Well, you are right. At least with what I've seen, yes, there is this aspirational choices of the next phase of Bihar, but I'm not very sure that the whole fate is only in the BJP and Nitish Kumar. That is why you have a contest on your hands. Otherwise, possibly this would have been a done deal even before the first vote was casted. But thank you, gentlemen, at this moment for joining me on the broadcast. It will be has been an interesting campaign. It will be an interesting election for sure, and implications would be much more politically on the government in the center and also in the upcoming election season in 2026. Rahul Gandhi, who was on the campaign trail today, made a statement when he spoke about the Indian Army, and in that context, he has opened up a big debate. Is there some insinuation towards, some sort of reservation in the army? All these things that the army so far has been able to save itself, from, is that now Mr. Gandhi's next project is what the BJP and the NDA is accusing of. Listen in.
500 सबसे बड़ी कंपनी के आप लिस्ट में और इसमें पिछड़ा दलित महादलित अल्पसंख्यक आदिवासी को ढूंढ के डाली आपको कोई नहीं मिलेगा, आपको एक नहीं मिलेगा। सारे के सारे 10% आबादी में से आते हैं। सारा बैंक का धन उनको जाता है, सारी नौकरियां उनको जाती है, ब्यूरोक्रेसी में उनको जगह मिलती है। आप हिस्ट्री देखिए, वहां भी उनको सब मिलता है, सेना में उनका कंट्रोल और 90% आपको जो आबादी है वो आपको कहीं नहीं मिलेगी।
All right, that's all the time I have in this edition. I will take a quick break at this moment, but let me remind you once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very high-stake battle in Bihar. the big guns from across political parties have been booming today. 6th is when the first phase of voting is going to take place. So if you are in Bihar, please make sure that you go out and vote. And for everything else that happens in Bihar, people's aspiration, their voices, and of course the mood and the color of the election, trust NDTV to give you an absolutely unbiased 360-degree view of the elections of Bihar. Quick break, we are coming back.